your job.
Put the gun down before you kill someone.
Teenage Girl's Diary.
Hello, and welcome to another Dollar Store Drive-In. I'm your host, Laura.
I'm Joel.
And we're the Newly Dads. And this is our half hour. What are you looking for? Looking for your thing? Oh, you forgot to turn on the light? Oh, our little Franken light. This is our half hour chat show where we discuss a movie that we watched. You can watch it on YouTube on tinglertelevision.com. Or Tingler Television, YouTube's channel. Or you can also listen to this on Spotify. So you're welcome to do either. But we do record this in our house. So we do have pets that kind of wander around. Joel likes to sometimes point out funny things that the dogs are doing. So if you're listening to it, sorry about that. But we encourage you to come and watch the show. So we wanted to share it in multiple different ways.
Especially if you like pets.
Especially if you like pets. But today we're watching another movie, and we've got some criteria if this is your first time watching. Also, if this is your first time watching and it's Wednesday night, you can come and chat with us, usually on YouTube. Joel will type and talk to you for a little bit. I'll be sitting right next to him, and he's telling me, they said this, ha 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 ha, they said that. So we like it when people come and chat with us.
6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. 7:30 Eastern.
Yes. But we've got some criteria. So the first thing is that it needs to be under $5. The movie needs to be either a horror, sci-fi, or thriller in that sort of genre. It needs to be found in the wild or purchased, that kind of thing. Sometimes people gift us movies, though. So it just needs to be a movie that we got somewhere. I guess that one's not even really that's a cow's opinion as far as I'm considering a moo point.
It's moo.
It's moo.
Cow's opinion.
Moot point. And then the last one is we have to have not seen it before. So that one's definitely a good criteria. But as far as the found it in the wild thing, I guess the reason I'm saying that is it has to be one that we've not had on the shelf for a long time or something.
Yeah, there's only one movie we sought out to buy just because it was for our anniversary episode.
Yeah, it has the same name as our
But we'd never seen it before, and it met
brand.
2 of the 4 criteria.
I didn't even know it existed. Yeah. So, anyways, those are the criteria. And then me and Mr. Newly Dead, we like to talk about the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So this week, we watched The Dead and the Damned.
Also called Cowboys and Zombies. That's the alternate title.
Or The Legend of the Living Dead.
And all those are sort of accurate.
Thus. Yeah, it's a little accurate. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, there were cowboys. There were zombies. There's at least a cowboy.
I'm kind of excited about these other movies on here. This happens to be a triple movie. So,
thank you, Anne, for your contribution to the cause. This is from
our friend Anne. She always likes to contribute, not always, but she contributed a whole bunch of movies to us that has given us lots and lots of content.
But the secret is that in the contributions, I think one of them, maybe 2 of them, had multiple films on it. So that's actually 3 films in one.
The gift that keeps on giving.
So we got 2 more movies on there to watch after this one.
Do you want me to read the
synopsis?
On the back.
For the synopsis.
It is time for the synopsis. Okay, so when a group of gold miners unearth a dangerous meteorite, they unleash an intergalactic plague that ravages their town and turns the population into bloodthirsty mutants. It's up to a High Plains drifter and his archenemy, an Indian warrior, to battle the zombies and save the Old West from the horrors of The Dead and the Damned. That was fun. Triple chills.
Yeah.
The undead, torture, and terror. That's what's on this.
I mean, there is a trailer. I do know this for sure. So we'll have to...
That movie has a tooth.
I know. It makes me a little uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's Vile, if you ask me.
Yes. That's the name of the movie.
Not Kurt Vile, the composer, but
Mm.
Vile. Like, that's disgusting.
Mm.
Disgusting.
Yeesh. So you said there is a trailer for it?
Yeah, when you go to the Internet Movie Database, where I got some information for the notes, it's right at the top. So I know that there's one there.
The other thing that Joel likes to do, well, I mean, but not likes to do, that I like to do, is he creates a trailer, like a little vehicle that pops up on the screen. So if you're listening to this again,
you should watch it.
You should watch it.
You can see all these
because it's funny.
Things.
And he also plays the trailer, and the trailer has funny things in it sometimes. So,
more often than not.
Yeah. But today the trailer is coming from over here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh.
And it's an old wagon with a squeaky wheel.
Of course. It's kind of...
with a zombie on top.
You've done that before.
No, I didn't have a zombie on top. I had a ghost on it.
You had a zombie on one too.
Did I?
Uh-huh.
Oh.
It's okay.
That's because we watched another Western movie that had zombies in it.
We can do another one with a zombie on it. But I'm just saying.
Maybe the zombie is pulling the wagon. Yes. The zombie or zombie horse is pulling the wagon.
How are we gonna do that?
Do it.
It's not a matter of desire, not how.
I can do it for you. I bet I can do it. How about I make it for you and I'll send it to you? Does that work that way? Can you upload images?
Yeah. You can
okay.
I do it all the time.
All right. Well, that's gonna be my task.
Challenge.
I'll easily do it for you. I know I can find that image.
You know what it looks like though? It's gotta be a little cutout thing that goes. I mean, I'll make it go, but it's gotta be a little.
Yeah. I got you. Old fashioned wagon, covered wagon, being pulled by a zombie horse.
You have to take a note when we're watching the trailer, write it down so you remember.
Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the trailer that I'm sure Joel's gonna mess around with.
Maybe.
I just know him. All right, we'll be right back.
The fastest gun. With an appetite for justice.
You ain't taking my bounty!
Must face an evil. With an appetite for human flesh.
What the hell was that thing?
The dead and the damned.
We're back. I'm sure you missed us, but I'm sure that was a fun trailer to watch. Yes. So we always we don't always take notes. Joel always takes notes. I sometimes take notes, and this time I did.
Mm-hmm.
I usually just draw pictures and stuff. So
she's got a very specific style now.
You probably won't be able to see it, but I'm going to show it to Joel.
Kind of.
I'll cover up my thing here.
Your thing?
So I drew the dead and the damned, and I drew a little skull.
I remember the skull.
And I kept singing Joe Bob's song, you know, like where I'm the blood beasties.
Joe Bob's
boobies.
back in town.
Yes. Yeah. So it's like, if you haven't, hey, everybody, have you heard the news? Yeah, that song. If you haven't watched Joe Bob, what are you doing?
Get Shudder.
Get
watch
out
The Last
there.
Drive-In
Watch
every
Joe
other
Bob.
Friday.
He's amazing.
8 o'clock Central Standard Time.
He's I would say he's probably our favorite horror host. I mean, he's the one we watch together. He always says that
our being
we also like
together.
Mistress Peace. But who's that lady from Kansas City that you always talk about? Cremation Mortem.
I was gonna say she's right up there.
I didn't have to look.
You didn't.
No.
You didn't have to look.
Yeah.
And we both like Elvira.
Yes.
Yep. And
But we
Svengoolie.
watch Joe Bob every
We
single
watch
week.
Joe Bob
and we
every
like
time it's up.
Svengoolie. Yeah.
But we don't have MeTV, so.
Right. So I drew I'm Blood, I'm Beastie, and I'm Boobies.
I don't know what's happening with the boobs.
And I'm More. I drew a beer and some popcorn.
Because he drinks that.
What's
Lone
wrong
Star.
with the boobs?
They're just interesting. They're
They're
very
just
like
huge.
synthetic.
They're big. They're big
gun.
uns. I drew some big boobies.
They're kind of at a very distinct angle that's not normal in nature.
Yeah. And then I put some ratings, to remind myself.
Well, yeah.
You gotta, acting, boobs, cheese factor.
Cheese factory. So I did some notes. I usually write a lot of words and some pictures.
Oh, the robot's got a heart. What's that guy doing? He's a little
He's
derpy.
kind of was going to be a zombie, but then he turned into like a weird Simpsons guy.
He's a little derpy.
I don't know what happened. And then there's a gun that's going pew pew because the guy had a gun.
You said rated D for dumb.
Yeah, rated D for dumb because it was dumb.
Oh, I see the pew pews.
Yeah. It's his
That is a long gun.
Remember he had a really long gun, the cowboy in the movie? That's not... We'll get to that.
Yeah.
But I really like the way... I mean, I've drawn similar robots, but I really like the way that robot came out. So, all right. Well, The Dead and the Damned is from 2011, a.k.a. Cowboys and Zombies, and whatever the other title was she had as well.
Yeah.
It's currently sitting at 3.1 out of 10 on the Internet Movie Database. This is directed by Rene Perez, who also co-wrote the film. He directed From Hell to the Wild West, which he also wrote. Death Kiss, which he also wrote. And Once Upon a Time in Deadwood. And a movie called Cry Havoc, which all of these movies have the same thing in common except for the Cry Havoc. They all feature Robert Bronzi, who is a man that was discovered, and he looks just like Charles Bronson. He doesn't sound like Charles Bronson, but he looks just like him. And so they're plugging him into all these different vehicles that, is for Rene Perez. He's got this guy that looks just like Charles Bronson that's in his movies, and it's uncanny. And being a huge Bronson fan, of course, I had to watch them. But Cry Havoc became a franchise, and Once Upon a Time, From Hell to the Wild West features, I believe, the character from the Cry Havoc series, which is a killer with a mask on, if I'm remembering that right. But anyway, he also is known for writing a film called Snake Eyes, and no, it's not the Nicolas Cage movie. It's a fan film for Snake Eyes, the G.I. Joe character. It's a fan-made film. So, he also... I shouldn't do acronyms if I'm not going to remember what they are. He did... The Dead and the Dying has sequels. That's what it is. The Dead and the Dying 2, called And the Darkness. The Dead and the Dying 3, called Ravaged. So there were 2 more sequels to that film.
So that's The Dead and the Damned.
The Dead and the Damned, not The Dead and the Dying. The Dead and the Damned. There's 2 more sequels to it.
Oh, great.
He likes doing sequels. So like the Cry Havoc, there's a few of those. But anyway, if you ever want to see a Robert Bronzi movie, I'd say start with Death Kiss. It's the Death Wish wannabe. Anyway, this was also written by Barry Massoni, who wrote The Snow Queen. You're going to see a theme here. Sleeping Beauty.
Oh.
And Little Red Riding Hood.
Hey there, Little Red Riding Hood.
He's singing again. This stars one David A. Lockhart, who was known for a fan film for The Crow. So they made a Crow. I'm sure there's a ton of those out there, but this is one of them that he starred in. Dead Ant, which is on the list. It's about a group of aging touring rock stars, and there's like a genetically mutated ant or something like that is killing people or something. I don't know.
I thought it was like Dead
fun.
Ant. I think
that's probably the joke, but it's about I believe it's about a giant killer ant, but it looks like it's a comedy horror film. It looks fun. And Vape Wars, which was a TV series. Wars is spelled with a Z. Wars.
Vape Wars?
Vape Wars. And it's not a documentary. It is a movie about people going to war over vapes.
Weird.
It's a thing. I'll put the thing up here and you can then look it up for yourself. This also stars Camille Montgomery, who was in Sick for Toys. I don't remember. I just saw it and I thought it sounded interesting. Mank, which is about Harvey Mankiewicz, who is, if you're in the film business, you know who Harvey Mankiewicz is. Swimming with Sharks, the TV series, which the original film was from 1994, I want to say, and stars Kevin Spacey and Frank Whaley. Fantastic movie. Very kind of low budget indie movie from the time about a boss who was just a horrible human being and his assistant. Highly recommended if you've never seen it, never heard of it, go watch it. And this is the TV series where they did a gender swap, and it's like a, I don't know, it's like a mini series, I believe. And finally, Rick Mora, who played the indigenous Native American in the film, and he was in a bunch of the Twilight movies.
Oh,
Which I meant to write the name down of the character and I forgot.
that's okay. I think he was probably like, oh, I bet you.
But he was in several of the films.
Yeah, he was in the one of the Quilluets or whatever.
Jacob's group, I'm
Yes.
assuming, yeah. He was in Big Money Restless, which was the Insane Clown Posse cowboy movie, which we've talked about before. He was in Avenged, which is on the shelf, about a woman who gets kidnapped and murdered and then comes back from the dead as an undead warrior because she gets powers from a Native American, like some sort of a curse or a legend or something. Anyway, she comes back and she starts murdering people. Kind of a pseudo action horror revenge movie. It's I mean, it's on the shelf. It's a little tough to watch, but it's got a fantastic ending. And he was in Turok, Son of Stone, which was the animated series. So if you're not familiar with Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, it's a comic book from Valiant, which was out in the 90s and super popular. Anyway, at this point, my wife turns to me and says,
Oh, what'd you think?
and we go have dinner because this movie was not really worth talking about, but we're going to talk about it anyway. Heads up, spoiler alert. So the first thing we noticed, because I've seen several Rene Perez films because of Robert Bronze, and that's why I brought up all those movies, is because if you've seen one Rene Perez film, you've probably seen them all. We're pretty sure that the set from Once Upon a Time in Deadwood is the same set that was used in The Dead and the
At least the
Damned.
beginning.
At least the first part. Now, this was made in 2011, and Once Upon a Time in Deadwood was 2019, I believe. So a little bit of a span of time, but if it's like an old west town that they, have people come through to watch shows and they like fall off the roof and stuff, no reason why it wouldn't still exist 8 years later. It starts off with a pretty rockin' song, pretty, in-face medley kind of song, which kind of sets a weird tone when it's supposed to be like an old western thing, like, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it took a little while because I wrote Where Them Zombies At? And then all of a sudden after I wrote that down, then there's a giant rock that's glowing on the inside that some idiot decided to bust open to see what's inside, but he didn't do it at his farm like Stephen King and Creepshow 2.
Right.
He takes it into town with his buddy or brother, whatever, and they open it up in front of
Everybody.
a horde of people, which turned into a horde of
mutants.
That said mutants. They were certainly they were zombies.
I know.
They bit people and they came back as zombies also.
They had like green blood and stuff.
Yeah, it was definitely not. It was a little bit, and apparently the blood smelled bad.
Yeah, it was like Alien kind of.
It was like a hybrid alien zombie thing, something.
Mutant.
I don't know. It was weird. Now, if you're going to have a main character in a movie and you're going to have them be the hero, do you want them to be a predator? And I don't mean like, the predator versus the aliens kind of thing. I'm talking about like, have a seat over there. Because
I'm with Chris Matthews now.
Chris Hansen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Who's Chris Matthews? That's another TV.
I think he's another TV news guy, but yeah, not the same guy.
Chris Hansen.
Chris Hansen, yeah. Because I'm right? He was.
It sounded like to me that he was trying to wed a minor.
And not, hey, let's go down to the Get the goat out. Pew,
Well,
pew.
the whole thing was he's got to go chase after this guy for a bounty. So that's the Native American indigenous
Not the paper
person.
towels.
And he, what?
Not the paper towels.
Not the paper towels.
Mhm.
And so he is going to go chase after him because apparently he raped and murdered a white woman or something like that.
Which
so,
he didn't do, incidentally.
No. Which we figured. But, so he's like, oh, how dare he do this horrible act or whatever. And then he like starts kind of befriending the guy simply because like now they're in a
Necessity.
zombie apocalypse, mutant apocalypse or whatever. And so he then comes out and says, I'm in love with this woman. And the reason I needed to get your bounty was because like I knocked her up basically, even though she wasn't ready because she's too young. And I'm like, gross. So like, and he forced her to kind of do whatever. So like, to me, it sounds like he raped a girl
It wasn't
and
consensual.
no,
She's
and then just kind of
underage.
passed it off as like, haha, now I'm going to help her like pay her mortgage and her mom wants nothing to do with me and like, told me to go away, but I'm going to still save their farm kind of thing.
Like,
And
I'm going to
just
go
like,
back and I'm going to win her back with money.
yeah,
What?
yeah. Gross.
What? And so this is your hero, folks.
Yeah.
Uh,
Hero.
your
is a
hero.
loose word.
Very loose.
Yeah.
I mean, not that anybody was necessarily, they were great people necessarily, but I mean, that's a pretty huge character flaw to give your main protagonist. I mean, you've got him and the Native American guy, and that's and then the girl, and that's your trio.
Yeah, he buys a girl from this guy who's trying to sell wives to people.
Wives or prostitutes.
Wives or prostitute, whatever. And to use her as bait because he thinks that the Indian, Native American, they kept calling him an Indian, Native American indigenous person, was gonna use get her, oh, there's a white woman strapped up, I better go rape and murder her,
Right.
like, you know what I mean?
Oh,
So
it's 5 o'clock. Time to go.
time to go do the pillaging. And so he uses them as bait. And so of course, the indigenous person just chops her off, lets her go.
Get out of here,
Yeah.
kid. What are you doing?
Yeah, why are you all, he thought he was doing something bad to her, so
He was being the hero.
it was silly.
It was very strange. And like I said, Rene Perez tends to make the same film. So if you go watch any of his other movies, they're very similar feel, very similar story, very similar sets, very similar actors. It's just, I don't know. You'd think you'd learn something, but the one thing that is also consistent in his movies, which we've been discussing since this happened, is that there was nudity in this film, and we could not figure out, even when I was going back through our notes, any of the movies we watched post Tingler Television, because we did this series for 8 episodes prior to this on YouTube, and I know there was nudity in some of those films, but all the notes I found, I couldn't decide whether there was or not, and I kept saying, "What about this one?" And you're like, "Nope, I don't think so."
Yeah,
So this may be a first for Dollar Store Drive-In,
lots of boobies.
that there was nudity in the film.
Yeah, that was my notes here. I put acting bad.
Yep,
Boobs plentiful.
plentiful.
Cheese factor of 3, and then I said hawk caw, like,
Oh yeah, there was I don't remember if they had the Wilhelm scream, but they definitely had the screeching hawk noise that you hear a lot.
like the eagle.
If you've ever seen Birdemic 1, 2, or 3, you'll hear that a lot.
And then the last thing was racism plentiful.
Yes, it's a mess. It's an hour and 20 some odd minutes of just.
I need to change my rating because I gave it a higher score than what I think. Now that I'm like
you can
talking,
change it
I'm
whenever you
going
want.
to. I'm changing it.
It's all you. So I wrote, "This is not good," and I wrote here that Laura says, like a quote on a movie poster. It says, "Laura says, stupid." So put that right here.
Stupid. I did not fall asleep.
No, but I think it's because when we get movies this bad, we tend to like
Make fun of them.
talk throughout them to
Maybe we
like
should start
point out
doing
the
that.
problems that we try to be respectful if it's something that's got some sort of redeeming quality to it. But this one just was a cold mess of stink.
Poopins.
It was not good.
So should we? Or is it to the point where we can rate it?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. So out of 5 space eggs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not even sure quite where I landed on this number, but I felt like it deserved a little bit of credit for effort, so I gave it a 0.25 out of 5. 0.25.
0.25. I'm going to give it a 1 out of 5.
Just because you didn't fall asleep,
I didn't fall asleep.
more or less.
Yeah. I did give it a 2, and I put, because why not? And then I was like, no.
I think just
I think after it was over, I was just like, I don't know. I was getting tired at that point, and I was like, I'll just give it a 2, I guess.
I mean, just the protagonist alone is enough to
because
knock
I didn't
it off
fall
a few
asleep.
points.
I think.
Because
Yes,
stanky.
I blew it up.
I noticed.
I'm gonna not blow this up because there's 2 more movies.
Yeah,
on
sorry,
it.
Ann. We got to save this one. So
You want to blow your notes up? Oh no, you got
no,
more stuff.
I'm not done yet.
So if they don't want to watch this poop show, what should they watch?
Well, I went with a little bit of an esoteric dive because there's about 4 or 5 cowboys and zombie movies, and we've seen 2 of them now, I think, maybe 3, and none of them are good so far. So I'm instead going with a movie that has cowboy zombies in it, but they're not necessarily the whole theme of the movie. So I'm going with 1987's House 2: The Second Story, which has not 1 but 2 cowboys who are also zombies. It's a fun kind of horror comedy. It's a sequel to House, the original one with William Catt, which you've never seen it, with Big Ben. Fantastic. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite horror movies as a kid. When I was growing up, I watched it over and over and over. And the second one is just as enjoyable. As John Ratzenberger's scene in it is chef's kiss. And there's 2 other sequels after it, which are, one is loosely tied to it, and then one is definitely tied to it. Not diminishing returns, but there's a great set that's available through Arrow UK. It is a region-free set of all 4 films. So if you get a chance and you like the first 1 or 2, pick it up. Joel Bob says, check it out. Yeah.
Cool. What are we watching next week?
Next week,
Gently putting.
we are watching the second one on the back.
Second one on the back. Out of the 9 big box of horror movies,
9 big
we're
box
watching Hurt
from 2009.
There's not a very long synopsis on here.
Nope.
Helen Coltrane, at her husband's last request, fosters a young girl whose evil she mistakes for innocence.
Sounds
Rated
like
R.
something we've seen before.
Some violence and brief language. 97 minutes long.
And again, this is another Ann big box of horror
you,
for
Ann.
us. She's just stocking us up. We need to get out anyway and do a restock. I need to get over to Dollar Tree or do some shopping around. I know I want to go to that antique place over on 2nd.
Okay.
So maybe that's something we'll have to pencil in here in the next couple weeks so we can kind of give Ann a little break. She's basically fueling the show right now, and we appreciate that.
Yes.
But it also, we don't want to make people think that that's all we're watching.
Yeah. Ann
but
Originals.
It's the Ann Originals, but we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Which one of the things we didn't do at the beginning that you already mentioned that
Yes.
you wanted to do is
So if they want to find us, where can they find us?
They can find us at thenewlydeads.com, your home away from home for all things Newly Deads. We've got Laura's Unearthing Small Business blog. We've got my Cinematorium blog. Hers is about small businesses, not just locally, but wherever we can find them that are interested. And if you'd like to be featured, contact at thenewlydeads.com. We'd be happy to get you in there. I write movie reviews, sometimes on the movies that we've just watched. A lot of times on movies that we haven't seen or talked about on the show before. The links to our podcast, links to our YouTube channel and videos, information about us. We still haven't put anything on there about the dogs, but it's something we've kicked around.
Yeah, we need to work on that.
And there's information about upcoming shows for us if you want to come see us live, as well as just some other fun content. So go check it out.
Yeah. Awesome. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. And until next time,
keep it cheap and creepy.
Bye.
Go look after your mother and sister. Where are you going? I'm gonna finish this. Goodbye, Tom.
Listen, fellas, we got a little problem in the other room. I think you better come have a look.
Look, Bill, I'm sorry, but this really isn't a good time. Why don't you pack it up and come back tomorrow?
I think we better go in the other room and have a look. Yep. There it is. Looks like you got some kind of alternate universe in there or something.
Thanks.